All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good today. It is Wednesday. We got Nvidia earnings. I got to get my screen set up over here. I just realized it's not set up. Here, hold up. We got Nvidia earnings. I got to get my screen set up over here. Sorry. There's no way to mute it before the stream. What do we want to stick here? We put gold up. Yeah, it's Nvidia earnings day, a big day for markets. Gold has been pushing up yesterday, and Nvidia has as well. Nvidia all the way back up to 183s ahead of their earnings report. You can see it right here. We had a pretty good day yesterday, day trading here. See if we can turn it into more today. Here is Nvidia. There we go. All right, so you can see gold up here. So a couple things, right? Most futures in Nasdaq, S&P are flat today. Leading into this, the Nasdaq is almost exactly flat, slightly green right now, but basically flat. The S&P 500 is slightly red on the day. It closed at 64.87. It's at 64.86. So slightly red on the day. Nasdaq's been pushing up. It just made that green push. Nvidia has been moving up. It bounced right at the 200 exponential. It's at 183s right now. But again, most futures are flat as investors wait Nvidia's highly anticipated report after the closing bell today. I think we could get chop. We could get a run. We could get a drop today. It just depends on what the market looks like. Chip maker sits at the center, and yeah, 4 trillion market cap. Option traders expect a big swing from earnings today, estimating up to $260 billion change in market value based on earnings. You want to watch for China-related revenue trends and implications from the new revenue sharing agreement with the United States. In terms of the Federal Reserve, yields have plunged down as markets react to news of the president's attempt to remove Governor Cook, sparking concerns over central bank independence. Yield curve steepened significantly, reflecting rising expectations of near-term easing amidst policy uncertainty. MongoDB is up. So MDB up big from 214s to 280s here after its annual profit forecast. Cracker Barrel, I don't even know what. Guessing. Gotta get it right eventually. There it is, CBRL. So it's back up today after I think they're keeping their old logo here. Canada Goose. Give me the symbol. But Canada Goose is up 8.6% amid reports that Bain Capital is considered taking them private. Investors are looking at Abercrombie as well. They have earnings today. Abercrombie and Fitch at $100 a share, roughly. Kohl's later today. But again, Nvidia's earnings are going to set the tone, most likely. Nvidia earnings are going to move things. That's kind of what the whole market is looking at, is Nvidia earnings today. It's going to be at 4:20 Eastern Standard Time after the closing bell. Yeah, strong standalone company moves are gaining attention, especially in software retail consumer. And so if you're wondering about the revenue sharing deal, the current administration did a deal with Nvidia and AMD to export specific AI chips to China, such as Nvidia's H2O and AMD's MI308, in exchange for giving the US government 15% of the revenue generated from those China chip sales. He initially sought a 20% share, but after negotiating, he stuck with 15%. So 15% of China sales go to the United States government. It unlocks export licenses previously blocked due to national security concerns, allowing them to once again sell in the Chinese market. It's unprecedented, essentially. It's like a toll on exports rather than a tariff or a straightforward tax. So a lot of eyes are going to be on that right now to see what happens here. And yeah, it should be interesting nonetheless. We'll see what happens. Yeah, I've been doing really well. Like I've been on like 6 or 7 Top Step appearances there, and every single one of them in Power Hour, I'm pretty sure I've made money on. I have to go back and look. I'm not 100% sure, but my accuracy with those longer term Power Hour trades is very high, very high. So it kind of goes to show waiting for that big volatility of Power Hour usually works. What's up, chat? What's up, Fights? What's up, me? What's up, Ava? What's up, Ryan? Trey? Rusty? Pawn? Marco? Arif? Ray? Top? BT? Fate? Khan? Life? Lost? Ty? Fender? Trader? Drop? Graph? Yeah, so NASDAQ still moving up a little bit. It's at 610 right now. We're still at 610. I don't know what kind of coffee this is. It's some type of organic coffee. I don't know what it is. It's good. I'll drink it. Yeah. Better than no coffee. All right, so Besson, speaking about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac deal, he said news is sometime in September or early October. He said we don't want wider spread on mortgages versus treasuries. We're moving deliberately on Fannie and Freddie, and I'm not sure of the timing of Fannie and Freddie's sales. He said Taiwan Semiconductors and their dominance in chips is a security risk. Boeing has been crippled for several years once again. Or once great. Other semiconductor firms have done well. A US stake in Nvidia seems not on the table. I don't think Nvidia needs financial support. We also had the NBA 30-year mortgage rate show up earlier this morning. It showed up at 6.69%, which is actually a little bit elevated relative to where it was last, or a little bit higher than it was last time. Yeah, so it came in last time at 6.68. This morning it showed up at 6.69% for NBA 30-year mortgage rates. But again, Nvidia earnings today is driving everything higher. Again, if we take a look at rate cut odds, %87 likelihood of a rate cut as of now, 12.7% likelihood of a pause. So if you take a look at yields on the other end of that, yields currently at 4.275% today, 4.275. So take a look at what they were yesterday. They're basically flat from yesterday. They haven't really moved too much. Yeah, they're gonna just kind of hang out here most likely if we get some big news later this week. Or we get some big market news, influencing market news. Yeah, Bassett also said Canada was willing to join secondary tariffs, and he reiterated Europe's unwillingness on Russia's secondary tariffs. Let's do a poll. Does the market close red or green today ahead of Nvidia earnings? Is going to be what the poll asks. Feels like the market is already priced in the first rate cut. That might be true. The actual cut may be something the market doesn't respond to, or we could actually dip from you know, the actual act of cutting rates. That's very possible. We'll see though, but it's possible. So we're pulling back here. I might try to buy a 23.6 level, although I do think a choppy sideways range bound trade makes a little bit more sense. But if I can wait for 23.6 or maybe 23.603 or 2, I'll take a position here. But we need to pull back all the way back to that level. There's also a chance that we bounce at 605 right here. Here's 605 right here. The chance we bounce there or before it. So I'm looking at 23.6 here. I prefer a pullback to 23.6. We'll see what happens. Also, Bessett's still speaking. He said, each China meeting is moving the ball forward. I guess we will meet China Vice Premier in late October or early November, and that delisting Chinese companies hasn't been on the table yet, end quote. All right, so there's 605. Hasn't been on the table yet, end quote. Let's see if we bounce at 605. It's possible we do. Go to bed. I just woke up. It's 6:30 in the morning, Texas time. Tesla moving. Yeah, there's AMD up there. Tesla. 350s. Yeah, Tesla's up this morning. Looks strong. All right, guys. All right, so we're still at 605, so we're bouncing directly off of it. Yeah, I'm looking up some other market news right now. Gold, again, down a little bit right now, but it's moved up over the last 24, 48 hours. We did bounce right there at 605. Yeah, I mean, Marco, that's an absolutely ridiculous question. Which I'm gonna completely pass on. You know, that's a ludicrous question to expect me to answer on YouTube. Hey, nice, Cheryl. Joshua. All right, guys. So it is now 6:30, 7:30 market time. We're still waiting here. I mean, Nvidia earnings are big today, man. We got Nvidia earnings. Yeah, so Nvidia is reporting their quarterly earnings after the closing bell at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, maybe we should have bought 605. I'd like a larger pullback here. He doesn't get a good day. I mean, I'll leave him there, but I'm not going to answer that question, of course. Yeah, all good, Marco. You know, but yeah. You need my social too. My mom's maiden name. You know, just let me know. All right, guys, we're at 608 right now. 608. What do you expect the Fed to do with interest rates in 3 weeks? At this point, I expect them to cut rates next month in September. You know, we have some stuff that might influence that though. We have PCE inflation on Friday. We've got GDP data tomorrow. We got Nvidia earnings, which probably aren't going to move it much, but you know, GDP PC could influence rate expectations. And then early next month, you know, next week really, we have another non-farm payroll unemployment labor report, where we get the labor report coming out. Yeah, Abercrombie and Fitch beat. Yeah, we do have some breaking news coming out. I'm honestly surprised A&F beat. Lilly was upgraded at HSBC as well. Speaking about HSBC. But again, here's Abercrombie and Fitch's numbers, A&F. They just dropped. A&F is out. And they went up originally here. You can see them spike up some just now over the last 2 minutes. But again, there's no way I'm buying Abercrombie and Fitch. I just can't justify buying this stock. It's at 4:20 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is Nvidia earnings. Yeah, so Eli Lilly upgraded at HSBC. Maybe I should have bought 605. We talked about it. We bounced right there. So yeah, European Union said today that it will seek to fast-track removal of all tariffs on U.S. industrial goods by the end of the week after the U.S. and European Union established a written framework for the trade deal agreed to in late July. The president requested that tariffs be removed before the U.S. lower its duties on the bloc's auto exports. Corporate America passed the big milestone. Share buybacks for 2025 reached $1 trillion on August 20th at the fastest pace ever. Completed buybacks are set to surpass 1.1 trillion by the end of the year. Also, the president, like, he did hit India with a 50% tariff, and that's kicking in. Yeah, so remember, the president currently has 50% tariffs on India's that have now kicked in, a move that some say will upend a decades-long push by Washington to forge a closer ties to India. He added an extra 25% on imports, India imports, because of its purchase of Russian oil, which he claims has been aiding the conflict. So yeah, that's going on right now. Nasdaq still pushing up though this morning. Kind of flat long term. Like we're still flat on the day. You can see we opened up way up here on the at the start of the day. We dipped all the way back down, and now we're right back up. So we kind of have like a V-shape momentum pattern. That's what I was saying. If we pulled back to some of these levels, I'd buy it. We ended up pulling back to 605 here, so I didn't quite get the pullback I wanted to buy into. You can watch 620s. You can watch 25s maybe. I think all of that makes sense, but we'll see if we get anything good. The new deadline for the U.S. and China is in early November, I'm pretty sure. Right? Pretty sure it's early November. We also have Kohl's, which is KSS, up pretty big. They're up from 13 to 1502 right now in earnings. On earnings. All right, looking at our poll, 64% think we're gonna have a green day today. 36% think red. Yeah, I've answered it multiple times. It's also at the bottom yellow scroller of the screen, sir, for Nvidia earnings. Yeah. All right, so we're still pushing up here, though. Let's see if we get a pullback. Yeah, power hour is gonna be wild. All right, we're at 613s right now, 613s. Bought the micro E-mini. Yeah, I need a pullback first for me to buy it here. I like the upward trend, but personally, I'd like a pullback before I can buy it. We'll wait for it. Yeah, so Treasury Secretary Bessent says we'll present 3 to 4 Fed chair candidates to the president and we'll surely know the Fed chair pick in autumn. He said that AI boom may show up in productivity as soon as Q1 of 2026. Yeah, and I guess another question is, do you think we'll get choppiness today, guys? Like, we're kind of running back up. Longer term, we're flat on the day. Do you think we'll continue to get sideways choppiness leading into the earnings reports? I think it's possible. Yeah, I mean, I look at crypto. We look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin back up to 111s, almost 112s, which is a nice little relief from the drops that we've seen in it over the last few weeks. Yeah, I mean, we have exposure to Nvidia long term. Short term, I don't know what it's going to do. Markets take the day off today. Ethan, Bitcoin. Yeah, Bitcoin's back up. It's still technically red on the day, though, but it is up, especially relative to where it was yesterday. So, again, we got a little micro pullback here, about $4 on the NASDAQ. We'll see if we get a larger one. Again, all eyes are on Nvidia today, though. Nvidia at 183s right now has been pushing up big. Yeah, I mean, I think Nvidia could certainly influence Bitcoin. I think it could certainly move it. We'll see, though. We'll see. I kind of just have to wait for a trade here. I don't mind this area as much now. Like, we might buy and scale into this area here. But it's also possible we just trend down and we have like a longer term choppy trend like this, you know? And so we got to be careful with it. But yeah. Heading up, closing in the green. Maybe. It's possible for sure. Could be slight uptrend. Could be big run. You never know, but we'll see what we get. Gotta just kind of wait for it. So Moody's chief economist flags 22 states as already in a recession or at high risk. He says there are only 2 states are holding their own. I don't know how long ago that news came out. All right, Nvidia at 183s. Gold's still down on the day. Look at gold. So I think I see optimism ahead of Nvidia earnings. I do see some optimism. Amar, again, the time for Nvidia earnings is at the scroller on the bottom of the screen in yellow. .99 of social media is bullish on Nvidia side. Yeah, I see optimism heading into the earnings for sure. Yeah, I mean, I like crypto, Boris. I like crypto a lot. The problem is just stocks are such a real thing right now. It's just two different markets. One doesn't have to like cover the other. You know what I mean? In terms of interest. Like we have interest in the stock side, the futures side, as well as the crypto side. It's not like just because crypto's there that we do not have a stock system. You know what I mean? And I would argue there's a lot more valuable stocks than there are valuable cryptocurrencies in terms of net value and market cap, right? So if we look at market caps of companies versus looking at market caps of crypto coins and crypto, you know, sure, crypto has some incredibly valuable ones. I'm not discrediting any of them, Bitcoin, ETH, you know, others, but Bitcoin maybe has like 4 or 5 really valuable coins, maybe like 10 to 15, I'll give it. In stocks, there's hundreds, thousands of incredibly valuable companies, and so it's just a different thing. It's just a different thing, right? As well as like in stocks, you know, maybe eventually it'll transition to go crypto, but I think we're a long ways out for that. And so yeah. And again, this is something, I'm in Bitcoin, I'm in crypto, like I'm in altcoins too. Like I hold those things because I like them, and I think they probably go up over time. But you know, I don't think one has to necessarily replace the other. I think they're both open markets. Yeah, in a couple years, you know, we'll see. But I would say it's at least 20, 30 years out. No, I understand the blockchain is the valuable system. I understand. And I think eventually we might see all of finance move there, but I think that's a long way out. I think it's a long way out. And I think, you know, as much as people like trading memes, I think those type of things are hurting that transition. I think the NFT market hurt the transition to a certain extent, you know. All right, we're at 183s for Nvidia. Yeah, I think it'll be probably 20, 30 years before we get stocks transitioning deeper into blockchain, before it's finished. It might start earlier than that, but I think we're a ways out just in terms of, you know, public support of that type of thing. All right, we're at 609.50s. And I understand some of you guys might like want that to happen sooner, right? So you have confirmation bias because you want it to happen, right? So you underestimate how long it's going to take for that to happen. You know, and I get it, right? I understand, but you don't want to be emotional about it either, you know? Like we can agree to disagree, and it's all love, you know, it's all good. But yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope it's sooner. Maybe I'm wrong. I could certainly be wrong. I hope it's sooner. I really do. Nvidia pulling back. We're at 182.80. I think blockchain's a more efficient thing for it. You know. And again, if you don't know what blockchain is at home, guys, blockchain is basically it tracks all the transaction history automatically. Tracks all the transaction history. It essentially, and that's why it's called blockchain, because it's a chain of ledger of everything that's going on. And it makes it so that you essentially can't counterfeit it. It makes it so that essentially you can't really hack into it, and it's incredibly efficient. And so that's what they're talking about moving stocks over to, you know, which I think it'll eventually happen. Maybe we just disagree on the time frame of it, but it's possible to be earlier for sure. All right, guys, Nvidia earnings. Do you guys think Nvidia beats or misses? Still testing these highs, but now we're sideways. I need a larger dip. All right, Bitcoin now technically green on the day as well. Nvidia is still holding up there, and I think Nvidia is driving a lot of this push today in futures and stocks. Yeah, we got a lot of earnings. We had Abercrombie and Fitch beat. If you look at A and F here on the top, A and F beat, but then kind of turned all the way back. We had Kohl's. Kohl's is up to almost $16 a share. Pretty large percentage here for Kohl's. So Kohl's is up. We also have some other earnings. We had Williams Sonova, Royal Bank of Canada, Smuckers. This evening we got Snowflake, Nvidia, CrowdStrike, and more. But the big one, of course, is Nvidia here. All right, guys. So, yeah, so I asked AI this. And again, AI is AI, so it could certainly be wrong. I asked AI, by your estimates, when will all stocks be moved over to the blockchain and tokenized? It said currently there's small pilots exist, Franklin Templeton's tokenized mutual funds, Swiss digital exchanges, etc. Private markets, real estate funds, PE funds are further along than public ones, less SEC scrutiny, but US public stocks are still settled through DTCC with T1, which is transaction plus 1 day cycles. And transition timeline estimates, in the near term, they think growth in tokenized treasuries, funds, private credit, because regulators see them as safer first steps. Limited synthetic stock tokens like fractional Apple and Tesla may exist offshore, but they're not blessed by the SEC yet. By late 2020s, BlackRock, Vanguard, DTCC could start offering tokenized wrappers for fractional retail access, but the real share record's still going to live at the DTCC most likely. Medium term, meaning up to 2040. If pilots succeed, expect dual track systems, legacy clearing via DTTC, blockchain rails for speed fractionalization. Tokenized stocks could trade 24/7, but under US security laws, they'd still need an SEC regulated exchange, possibly NASDAQ on blockchain. but by 24 and all onward, they're going to start the full migration of equities into blockchain, right? So that's basically the same window that I gave, 20 years is what I'm thinking. Maybe less, could be earlier. I don't necessarily think it's going to be by 2030 though. I don't think it's all. It might start then. I mean, I'm not saying no stocks are going to be on the blockchain by then. I'm just saying it's not going to be done. Like, we're not going to move everything over to fully blockchain until 2040 plus. I believe it exists, Boris, but what I'm talking about taking 20 years is the full migration over to it. And that's a different thing. That's a different thing, man. All right, so again, we're at 23.6 right now, 23.6. 605 is looking a little bit better. I'd still rather 600s, but 605 is looking a little bit better for a pullback. I'm going to wait for it. We're slightly upward trending here. Coles is still pushing up, breaking highs. Nvidia is up to 183s. Gold is still elevated from the last few days, but it's down today. Again, Bitcoin sitting right at the previous closing price, essentially flat at 111.5. We don't have any 8:30 reports. We have Nvidia earnings after the closing bell, which are going to be the big thing today. I'll probably trade 2 to 8, 2 to 10 micro contracts at a time. Just depends on what's going on, where I'm comfortable with taking the trade. Yeah, we got a slight upward trend here, but it's hard to tell where the market's going to go right now, just based off of the volatility we have today. If we take a look at the VIX, I'm sure the VIX is down slightly on the day, but might move up closer to Nvidia earnings. There's gold, the right. Nasdaq still pushing here. Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends. I think by 2030, we might have some on the blockchain. Certainly more, maybe like niche equities. But I don't think it's going to be everything. And again, we can agree to disagree. It's all good. Again, VIX is down at under 15s right now, and that's probably just because the market's pushing up. I don't know, anywho, I'm really not sure. you can activate it immediately as long as you follow their rules a bit. Nvidia last quarter was 44.06. Today they're expecting, the whisper is about 45.91, a little bit under 46 billion for revenue estimates. The EPS estimate is at 98 cents, 98 cents for Nvidia. So we take a look at their EPS graph. They're expecting 98 cents today, right? So they're expecting 98 cents. Let's look at this quarter to quarter. If they do show up at 98 cents, that will be their strongest quarterly earnings ever. We have to look at, you know, what they're expecting. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're expecting 98 cents. 98 cents. On revenue, just under 26 billion for second quarter. Yeah, so quarter two earnings are today, so we got to look at their last quarter two, which was right here. Last time they showed up at 60 cents. Today they're expecting 98 cents. But again, if they beat their 98, if they come in at 98 cents, that'll be their strongest quarterly earnings ever. If we take a look at revenue for Nvidia here, you know, take a look at revenue. Last time they showed up at 44 billion. So yeah, if they come in as expected for earnings, they will have their strongest quarterly earnings showing ever. We are finally getting a pullback here. I don't know if we're going to beat or miss. Nobody really knows what the market's going to do. I think we'll probably, my guess is we'll probably beat, but it doesn't necessarily mean the market's going to react favorably to this. All right, so here's the 8 a.m. scrum. The pullback looks a little bit more reasonable. I was looking at 605. We're bouncing a little bit earlier that. Back on May 28th, ahead of quarter two fiscal 2026, Nvidia provided formal guidance of 45 billion plus or minus 2%. It factors in the estimated 8 billion China revenue loss due to HDO export restrictions in China. Analysts are modeling 46 to 46.5 billion, implying 53% year-over-year growth, slightly above their own 45 billion midpoint today. EPS guidance is around $1 to 101 per share, up 47 to 49% year-over-year. Sam Altman also warning that the AI boom shows signs of a bubble, saying some investors could lose phenomenal amounts of money even as he remains bullish on its long-term potential. So just be careful. I'll look for a dip here, but I'm buying. This is too early, but that's okay. I'm gonna have to slowly scale in, maybe down to 600s. We'll take some more at 604, 604, 603.75, and then we'll take the last at 602.50. What we're looking at. Yeah, I mean, guidance always moves earnings. Yeah, I mean, I don't think AI is like that at all, South Style. I just don't. The fact that you can talk to an AI system right now, you can have it teach you languages, you can have it program for you, you can have it answer basically any question you have about the world immediately and instantly. And yeah, the accuracy isn't perfect, but that's not a reasonable expectation for it at this point in time, just because we're still very new in this technology, right? So if you don't think AI is going to have some crazy growth over the next 10 or 20 years and it's going to fundamentally change the world, you know, I think, you know, the nicest way to say it is I think you're wrong. I think you have to look at, again, what I personally think is going to happen is, like, right now you can literally talk to AI and it'll talk back with you in a reasonable, you know, in a reasonable way. You can literally communicate with it. It's like the movie Her. Okay, you ever seen the movie Her? It's like that movie right now. The next step in this evolution of AI is going to be robotics. They're going to add AI consciousness into robots. It's going to be like Bicentennial Man. Hopefully it's not like Terminator. But I think one of the things that we're going to see is we're going to see more and more accurate humanoid robots. And eventually they're going to become somewhat indistinguishable from actual humans. I don't know when this is going to be. I think it's going to be 10, 20, 30 years maybe down the line, maybe earlier than that. I really don't know. But I think once that happens, we might see the population decline drastically based off of people and how people are. And I think, yeah, I think if that happens, it's going to be a scary world. But I also think most of these tech companies recognize this, and so they're vying for growth. They're trying to rule the world, you know. And I think if you can't see that, what I just said, as a possible outcome here, a very possible outcome, I think that's naivete, I should say. I think it's just naive. I think you got to look at it objectively and look at trends, because I'm basing this off of trends, the trends that we've seen, as well as the trends that we're likely to see in the future, where the money's gonna flow. Yeah. Alright, so we gotta bounce up here. We're not, the range is so small that we're not really up. I wanted to add to the position, but I guess I'm just gonna let this sit here. I could add to this and hold it break even. I guess I'll try. Give it a chance to bounce in my entry here and go back up. Keep myself pretty much flat in this. I just realized how small the range is. I just gotta take a little bit larger positioning here. All right, we're in 3 micros now. We'll let this work pretty small here. Try to cut half of this up here. It lets me. Still very small. The range is so small today. Bouncing at 605, that's good. I'm gonna cut this about break even right here. Wait. Keep it mostly flat. Give it some time. Yeah, I mean, September, we do have sometimes a September slump. It doesn't mean we're going to get that now. We don't always go down in September. Yeah, I think everything's going to be kind of quiet today, so maybe I'll attack Chop a little bit more, but I'm going to try to trade with the trend, but the range is so small. Most markets are waiting for Nvidia to report. Yeah, after the bell's gonna be crazy. Yeah, but necessity is the mother of invention, South. So, you know, one of the things that you hear people say a lot is, you hear people say, like, an example of this is, you hear people say, oh, well, you know, video games aren't going to move digitally. They're going to stay physical because we don't have the memory storage to, you know, hold them. But again, you got to understand, big money flows into what's needed. And over time, we'll probably see big money flow into that as well, of course. We might have a bubble. Listen, I'm not saying we're not in a bubble. I think a bubble is possible, although the long term, like, I agree with Sam Altman in this context, where I think it's certainly possible we have a bubble in AI, and that we correct. You know, the internet was the next big technology in 2000, but we still had a really long bear market that followed the tech bubble bursting at that period of time. And so I'm not saying we don't have a bubble. What I'm saying is that AI is almost certainly going to be integrated into almost everything we do by I would say by 2030, by 2035. It's going to be integrated into everything we do. And it already kind of is, but it's going to be even more so. All right, we took half off there. We're slightly green on the day. We'll see if we can ride this up some more. Hold the rest break even here. Slightly green. If we push. Amazon reportedly plans to extend new employment offers to Whole Foods U.S. corporate employees on the 10th of November, integrating its grocery teams, according to the WSG. All right, there we go. We're at the top of the range. I'll try to cut it right here and get out. There we go. We're out. Not bad. That 605 level still holding. Never really got a chance to add to the position, but that's all right. Yeah, you know, I told a lot of people prior to this AI run, you know, back in like 2021 and 2022, really before the AI boom happened, a lot of people said, oh, AI is a gimmick. It's not going to hold. And then we had one of the biggest bull runs you've ever seen from it, you know. And I think people have a lot of confirmation bias. Like, people might have missed out on the AI run, and so they want to pretend that AI is not this big thing, that, you know, the largest company in the world is really an AI company at this point in time. And I get people might have a certain degree of like confirmation bias by wanting it to correct because they might have missed out on some of this big bull run that's happened. And I understand that completely. You know, I get it. But, and maybe we do crash and correct. I'm not saying we don't. But what I'm saying is that the net long-term effect of AI is going to be obvious growth. It's going to be encompassing the world within half a decade. And I think that's very clear at this point in time, just based off of where all the money's flowing. I think one of the things all these big companies are doing is they recognize this. And that's why you see every single company getting involved with AI now, because they understand that that's the next thing, you know. John, is your spider sense tingling like last winter? We get out of the market soon? I don't know, man. I don't know. We're heading into the holiday season. I don't know. I really don't know this time. No, cannabis is not going to be the next big thing, in my opinion. It's not a big enough market to really influence the stock market right now. You're going to have small companies, even if it gets legalized, it's not going to really move. Not like that. You know, we might have some cannabis stocks run, but they're not going to move the S&P 500 to the NASDAQ. And I don't think we're going to see any cannabis stocks get added to the S&P and the NASDAQ in any significant way soon. In 2018, we had a legalization push. You know, the big problem with cannabis is that you got a lot of anti-cannabis lobbying groups right? Mostly driven by the prison industry and the pharmaceutical industry, where of course they don't want it legalized because it's going to replace their business. You know, cannabis doesn't necessarily cause physical withdrawal symptoms, and they would rather you take something that does so that you'll keep taking their product, unfortunately. And they spend lots of money to lobby against it. Yeah, that's the unfortunate part about it, is big money gets involved. And so, you know, and again, both sides of the political spectrum will pretend to support it. But then they start getting that PAC money donations from these lobbyist groups, and then they just kind of push it to the back seat, and then you get another president that essentially does the same thing, right? On either side. Both sides do this, unfortunately. And so I don't think we're going to see a big push in cannabis stocks. I don't think we're going to see it, even if it does get legalized, which it already is in most of the country, but I don't think we're going to see that anytime soon. Yeah, there's a famous quote, money is not made in trading, money is made in waiting. And so waiting's the hardest part for sure. Those AI companies are losing money. Yeah, but that'll change too. Is open still running? Nasdaq still pushing up. Let's watch 620s here. 621 looks interesting. Yeah, tomorrow we have GDP data, right? And jobless claims unemployment, which is a very relevant report for markets right now. GDP data, jobless claims unemployment. Although GDP is a lagging result, it's quarter two GDP. PCE data on Friday is going to be really important. So you want to tune in, especially Friday. Maybe, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll get quicker cuts. Last time, jobless claims unemployment came in about 10,000 plus over what was expected. And I think we got a positive reaction for it. I can't remember exactly how we reacted to jobless claims unemployment last Thursday, but I do remember on Thursday we did have higher than expected jobless claims, meaning more people filed for unemployment. And so tomorrow's important, but today all eyes are on Nvidia earnings. Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredibly clear AI is the future of technology for the most part, you know. Again, I think the next step is robots. They're going to implant AI consciousness into robots next, and that's going to be the big money driver in my opinion. I think that's very clearly the next step here. I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be, you know, immediate, but I think that's very clearly the next step. And I think there's a lot of fear, and I fear AI too, you know. But yeah. All right, we're at 621s now. All right, we don't really have any 8:30 data, but the Nasdaq is pushing up a little bit. Yields are down slightly, at least they were yesterday. Apple is slightly green, but mostly flat with everything else. Gold is down slightly on the day, although it did push up a little bit yesterday. And yeah, all eyes are on Nvidia earnings today. We got Q2 Nvidia earnings after the closing bell. We'll see what that looks like. You can, William. You can trade 5. It just depends. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia's actually sideways, but the Nasdaq's popping up. Look at that 621 level reject here. Let's see if it holds. Again, Nvidia bull or bear? Are you bullish or bearish on Nvidia? We did a poll. We said, does the market close red or green ahead of Nvidia earnings? 33% say red, 67% say green today, and the Nasdaq is slightly green right now, I think. Yeah, Nasdaq slightly green. Been pushing up, but we're slightly green. Goldman says Brent oil is going to drop to low 50s by 2026. Goldman Sachs expects Brent crude to drop to the low 50s by next year, citing a supply surplus and rising OECD inventories. The bank sees stocks growing at 0.6 MB/D through 2026, pushing prices below 4. Its risks include stronger Chinese stockpiling or weaker Russian output, which could keep Brent near $62. This is Goldman Sachs. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just saying this is what Goldman Sachs thinks. Again, Wall Street Journal Business News said the Amazonification of Whole Foods market is nearing complete. They plan to extend new employment offers to Whole Foods corporate employees. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Quantum's what you want to watch. I think it's understandable to want to watch Quantum for a lot of different reasons. And Quantum, guys, are super specialized computers that are expensive and very fragile. But a lot of people think they're the future. If you don't know what Quantum is, a lot of people think they're the future. Essentially, the easiest way to explain it, and it's not the perfect way, but it's the easiest way to make people understand what quantum is, right? When computers process things, they have all these processes that they need to do. When they process things, they do it in order. It seems simultaneous to us, right? Where it's like, do this, 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 right? To us, it seems simultaneous, but it's not. They do it in order. With quantum, it kind of allows with superposition for them to do these things simultaneously, which makes them much more efficient at solving problems and algorithms and everything else going on. And so they are way more powerful than regular computers. People speculate that they're going to be able to do all this different stuff with crypto. I don't know. Blockchain's a pretty efficient system. Even if we're talking about like proof of work, mining cryptocurrencies, maybe they'll one day be able to solve those algorithms a little bit quicker and mine more crypto, and we'll see what that does to crypto. I don't know if that's going to happen either, but we'll see. We'll have to see where quantum goes. Quantum's still very young. It's still very young. Do you believe in quantum? Guys, do you think quantum is the future of computers? And if so, what do you think are going to be the net effects of that? Let me know in chat. Yeah, so quantum computers factor large numbers exponentially faster than classical methods and threaten encryption. They speed up unstructured search problems, molecules, materials, quantum chemistry, exponentially advantageous over classical. Some algorithms show polynomial advantages as well. So, I love you. Love you, buddy. Hey, dude. Where'd you get that popsicle, bro? I thought we were out of those. Oh. Alright, dude. Love you, man. Will Amazon or Google react more on Nvidia earnings? I would argue Google, but just because they're more software. And Amazon is software too, but I would say Google's going to have more weighing on AI than Amazon, I would argue, you know. But again, I'm just speculating here. Not an investment professional, of course. You can read the top of the screen. You can also read this. I might have no idea what I'm talking about. Might be wildly wrong about anything and everything I say. Do not copy me. I'm not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose money. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything. Don't copy me. Yeah, that's why I wondered who gave my son a popsicle at 7:30 in the morning. I don't think anybody gave it to him. I think he saw his window to get one, and he just got one. They're healthy popsicles, though, so no added sugar. They're made from fruit, so it's a little bit more understandable, I guess. But he might have a hidden, stash. I don't know. You gotta watch kids, bro. We got popsicles in the fridge, dude. That kid, he'll act like he's only had one. He's literally had like 3 or 4. He's just sneaking popsicles left and right, All right, guys. NASDAQ still dipping back down a little bit. We did reject right there at 621. I gotta start targeting my levels here. I'll look for 605 because we got the 200 exponential here. But we will give it a second too. Starting to see a pullback here. 830 is here. All right, so we're starting to see some corrections in the NASDAQ here, some corrections. All right, so we've got a fairly large pullback now. We'll give it a second, but the range is so small today. Let's see if there's any news driving this. I don't think so. Yeah, so we're right here at the 605 200 exponential level. We've been here all morning essentially, and 830 is almost here. I do not like this though. Definitely have some red showing up now. If the bulls are back in control. Yikes, big drop. Going down. Yeah, we're dropping right now. Let's see if we rebound. 200 exponential is right above us too. See if we pop back up or what happens here. We got 23,600 right underneath us, though. So 6 is a big level. A lot of this is driven by Nvidia specifically. You got to look at Nvidia. There's 600s. If we hold this, what happens here? Right at 600s. Still looks like we want to hold at 6, but maybe we're not going to. Big red showing up. I'm trying to see if there's any reason or whether Nvidia is just turning to the downside, just to turn it. You see any news here? MicroStrategy still trailblazing, according to Concord Genuity. Still kind of a weak move here. What a big move randomly at the open there. I don't see any news to justify this. I'm trying to see. Nvidia did turn to the downside. Maybe that's driving it. I'm looking at Apple. Apple's turning to Meta. Could be Sam Altman's quotes about AI systems. It's possible. But like, yikes. Look at this big drop. Somebody may be selling here. See? A red move. What happens here now? Coming into some support levels here, so we'll see if that makes us better. But be careful. Definitely red action showing up in the market over the last couple minutes. Again, it looks catalyst driven just because it's all of a sudden. But see. The pop. How far we go on this bounce. Watch 600s. We're now under 6. And we're now under 600s. Red's still showing up. Any news? Do y'all see any news? Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I don't see any news. Watching Nvidia, it looks like Nvidia may be just influencing it. Gold's moving back up right now. The question is, does somebody know something? How likely do you think it is Nvidia misses like last time? I think Nvidia, my guess is Nvidia beats. It might still go down from it, but I think Nvidia beats today. I don't know for sure. That's my guess. I don't know. I think there's variance certainly from all this stuff. And I think it's risky nonetheless with all of it. But I think there's a chance Nvidia beats. This move looks like somebody knows something. I think there's a chance Nvidia beats and still dips from it. Yeah, it looks like this is catalyst driven though, but I don't see any news. Strange. RBC exec says that Canadian economy has proven stronger. A lot of red showing up in markets though, man. Look at this drop. Is it Nvidia? Nvidia's all the way back down to 182s. It's elevated today still. Got this 580 level, which was a previous support yesterday. Let's see if this level holds. Yeah, I mean, very strange. We've had a lot of red candles in a row. Don't really have any catalysts coming out. Oh, let me see this. Okay, so China chip makers are seeking to triple output of advanced processors next year. China chip makers supporting QY, DeepSeek, and other tech firms are seeking to triple the company's output of artificial AI intelligence-capable processors next year in a race with U.S. companies such as Nvidia to develop to develop things. Hold on, let me see. To develop the most advanced AI, the Financial Times reported today, citing people familiar with the matter. One plant producing AI processors for Huawei is scheduled to start production as early as late this year, with 2 more to follow. Maybe that's driving markets down and freaking markets out. It's possible. It's a big turnaround though, man. A very large drop here. All of a sudden. If it continues, but man, that's a drop. Sales coming through. Where does the red end right now? Where does the red end? Yeah, maybe we can get a little range trade here. We get some good setups. Here's 75 we're testing now. Nvidia looked like it started to bounce back up, but it's struggling to. Apple is driving down here. Look at Apple fall right now. I don't know. It looks like Amazon, Apple. Apple looks like one of the drivers. If you take a look at Apple here, look at Apple's price action. Nvidia's down, but it's not down that much. This looks mostly Apple. Nvidia's down though. Don't get it wrong, but it looks like Apple maybe. Altman's comments. Yeah, Altman thinks that we could be in a bubble. I think that may be freaking some people out. We'll see. What a turnaround though, man. Market just turned to the red side. Maybe it's time to see if 580 holds. Not really the most confident that we keep breaking down here either. I think we might bounce, relief bounce some. Might continue down afterwards. But I don't know for sure. You never know. New York Fed President Williams says he has nothing to say on allegations and situation around Cook. Independence is extremely important for the Fed. Yeah, but I don't really see any big breaking news that would drive this in anything. Fed Williams is speaking, maybe. He said I had nothing to add on the Cook allegations. We popped back up a little bit, but we're not really doing too much here. Yeah, we could dump ahead of Nvidia earnings. It's possible. Look at Apple resurge back up though. So see if we pop back up now. Yeah, watch us at 67 here. We have some support right here at 67. Maybe that holds. Maybe. See? Nasdaq, S&P still dropping pretty substantially here. A lot of stuff just went deeper red on the day. Earnings are released at 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. 4:20 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I don't see any news to cause this. I think this is just corrections happening. Yeah, so Fed Williams says GDP growth has slowed. Expect that to continue. Central bank independence is very important. So Fed Williams speaking right now on GDP growth. Markets are unpredictable right now. Apple's still breaking. Have we found a bottom, or are we coming back here, guys? I don't know. Kind of dipped big, and now we're kind of sideways chopping. See if we consolidate or what happens here. I think we got to watch Apple, Nvidia. Yeah, Meta's down, but it doesn't have liquidity, which means it's probably not from Meta, right? Like, Meta's dropping, but there's not really any big liquidity right here for Meta. Apple has liquidity. You can see big, clear candles moving down, but yeah, Nvidia's not really, or Meta's not really over much in volume. It's not much over 1,000 volume. Apple's higher than that. Obviously, Nvidia's higher than that too today, but Bitcoin's down a little bit on this move too. Again, Apple looking like we might continue down, but we're just kind of sideways. Also, if you haven't already, check out Top Step. Beautiful way to help support the channel. I'm on Top Step right now. I don't claim to even be a good trader. Sometimes I trade and lose off stream. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable for for any losses taken. Make your own assessment. Trade smart. I can't guarantee anything, guys. Don't copy me. But Top Step is great because it limits your risk. You can take a small risk trade, see what happens, and it limits your risk. And yeah, it just makes sense because you can put up 50 bucks. They give you a 50K demo. If you pass the test, they fund you 50K, 90% split. If you fail, you lose 50 bucks. It's not the end of the world. You get to keep your first 10K prior to the split kicking in. So it's very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule. Great way to learn. Day trading futures, very similar to day trading stocks. No PDT rule. It's just a beautiful way to learn how to day trade when most day traders lose money. And again, they're an affiliate or sponsor of mine, so I'm biased, of course. I get paid by them. But genuinely useful. I'll put the link up here and pin it to the top of the chat. It's just a better way to learn. Yeah, this is mostly driven by Apple. You can kind of see Apple move down and then the NASDAQ follow it. So it's looking like this is mostly driven by Apple today. I see OpenAI risks losing SoftBank billions. Microsoft dispute threatens 2026 structure. Yeah, NASDAQ really turning red here. Maybe we'll get a range, but we've had a lot of red candles. All right, another little relief bounce here. See if we hold. Apple did have a pretty big bounce back, so that's nice. See if it continues. Here's Apple. It's not even a huge rebound. Nvidia back up a little bit too. Yeah, so Williams is saying at some point it's appropriate to move rates down in time. We got to see where the balance of risks are. I'm watching inflation and services carefully. We are still modestly restrictive on stance, and progress on inflation is very slow now. It's hard to separate tariff impacts. Wage growth continues to be consistent with solid labor market and inflation moderating towards 2% target. Weaker job growth is tied to both slowing demand and slowing supply, is what he said. So kind of somewhere in the middle right now with all this stuff. Nvidia is still falling down here. Let's see if it holds or whether we get a relief bounce. Gold popped him back up. Yeah, so investors in Japan are selling Japanese government bonds at a discount to the Bank of Japan. Some making lopsided offers to sell 350 billion won domestic foreign debt. That came out 12 hours ago, though. So, that was a while. Right, we are getting that relief bounce. 580 might be a resistance level. Maybe. I don't know yet. Yeah. See. There's 580. We're still up there. Apple popped back up. 580 did reject us a little bit. Let's see if Nvidia comes back down or what happens here, though. I see Ryanair CEO says fares are up somewhere between 5 to 6% this summer. Profit guidance on 1.8 to 2 billion euros. Yeah, Japanese yen. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. I get them mixed up sometimes. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, William says they definitely see a slowdown in the pace of hiring. Now we're pushing up towards 580s. 580s was a level here. But again, you can also see kind of Apple slowing, I would say, a little bit here. Right at that 580 level we've talked about a couple different times. Yeah, give me a follow at Beginner Trades on X.com at Beginner Trades. We appreciate it. So the president just posted on Truth. I'm not covering what he's saying. President just posted Bitcoin down to 111s. Nothing to do with economics, really, or markets. Fed Williams says the Fed could reduce interest rates and still be somewhat restrictive. And so he just ended his CNBC interview. Yeah, so we're starting to see some red in the NASDAQ. See if it holds. Apple's bouncing back up a little bit, though. That's better. Still trying to get over 580. 580 seems like a level, but Nvidia and Apple look a little bit stronger up here too, though. We got like a little bit more room, it looks like, right here. $580 is still holding though. Yeah, Apple with a surge of a rebound here. Nvidia follows it. Possible. Now, Apple just kind of filled some of the gap it just put in. Retraced right there at the VWAP 200 exponential moving average. Yeah, I don't think we have any big data today. Let me make sure. Yeah, we don't have any 830 data. Barkin speaks at 11:45 today. Crude oil inventories at 10:30, but we had NBA 30-year mortgage rates, so it's slightly elevated relative to what it was last time. Market struggling to hold on the upside. Nvidia just cracked lows. There goes Nvidia dropping. 182.50s. Could drag everything else down. What's up, MC? Yeah, again, we're kind of flat. Apple's pushing up, Nvidia's rebounding back up here is what I'm showing. Doesn't mean much here. We're basically flat for the last 5-10 minutes. Maybe we'll get easier trades after the bell, but so far it's kind of boring. Morgan Stanley said Amazon Web Service growth could top 20% in 2026. They say AWS growth may accelerate above 20% in 2026 as new capacity catches up with demand driven by cloud adoption and generative AI workloads. The bank sees this as a key driver of their valuation, which is 300 base case, 350 bull case, while AWS has lagged Azure and CapEx. Spending is now ramping up with $33 billion expected this year in 2025 and continued increases into 2026 is what we're showing. We're above 580s. Do we break out of this range or what happens here? This is what you think Apple's gonna do right here. Like, if you look at Apple, we're right around a bunch of big areas here. So if you think Apple's gonna continue this type of trend, we might drop. It depends on if Nvidia fights its way back up here too, though. So it you know, kind of back and forth between these two. Best is subjective. There's no best. It's all subjective. Safest trading style, long-term investing. I don't know if it's a trading style, but safest movement is long-term. Everybody's different. In my opinion, safest long-term investing. Or swing trading long-term, longer-term swing trading. Kind of what I'm looking at. Everybody's kind of different, but that's kind of what I think is the easiest money. Easiest money to make. PCE Friday is incredibly important right now based off of everything going on. PCE Friday is wildly important. Wildly important. Just because the PCE data is what the Fed looks at to gauge inflation, right? So PCE inflation is really important. It's what the Fed uses to gauge it. And so if we get elevated PCE on Friday, rate cut odds might change. It's still looking pretty probable that we're going to cut rates. But yeah. Yeah, you can go bonds, you can go yields, however you want to do it. Alright, look at Nvidia dump down here. Markets seem unmoved by this though. Look at Nvidia fall. Why Nvidia just fell. Then it got bought up. Retrace back down. And then we sold all the way off again. Europeans are likely to initiate UN process to reimpose sanctions on Iran on Thursday, according to Reuters citing sources. Nvidia is still down here testing these lows. Nasdaq doesn't know which way to go here. Nvidia just crack lows again. And down. Weird. Yeah, look at Nvidia fall. It's at 182.30s right now. Not really holding down there though, and what you see is kind of like Apple slowly creeping up despite it. Big drop. Again, what's weird is that Apple's kind of pushing up on this. Hey, look, so Apple's up over the 200 exponential. Nvidia's down at this low. Apple makes music push in radio after losing ground to Spotify, according to Wall Street Journal. That's why Apple's rebounding back up. Apple getting involved in music after losing ground to Spotify. That news just came out just now. The Nasdaq's starting to turn downward. Look at this. Definitely a weak push. Close to low areas. I don't know if that's going to benefit Apple as much. Nvidia's still dipping. Nvidia's still breaking lows. We are starting this push downward again. Let's watch this 467 level. We could bounce here, but it's looking like we're going to at least test this low level here, at the very least. Doesn't mean we will, but it's looking like we are. Yeah, look at that 567 level bounce. Hey, thank you, Rusty, for the donation, brother. Thank you. Hey, nice. Wouldn't be surprised if Bitcoin and AI cause an energy crisis in a couple years. It's possible. Earnings aren't out for Nvidia. They drop at 4 o'clock. Or they drop after the bell at 4 p.m. today, Eastern Standard Time. All right, we got 25 minutes until the opening bell. We are going to day trade. All right, look at this red showing up here. Still breaking down, guys. Still breaking down. Again, Apple making a music push, but it's starting to correct on the news, so it's kind of buy the rumor 7 days. Look at 556 holding 2 here. Big follow back. Look at Nvidia here. This is driven by Nvidia and Apple both falling down simultaneously. All right, now we're testing 556 again. Nvidia's still falling down, correcting a little bit. And just to put this into perspective, Nvidia's up a lot since the 22nd. So since last Friday, Nvidia's been pushing up. It's probably correcting a little bit into earnings now. All right, so Linux equity on Nvidia is stepping away. Linux equity downgraded its stance on Nvidia, keeping a $160 price target, but warning the stock is likely to fade. The firm cites weak early reception to GPT-5, which runs on Nvidia's GB200 platform, raising concerns about demand, along with export tariffs that may expand beyond China. Strong near-term guidance is expected. But yeah. All right, here's the breakdown. Here's 550s. We finally find some relief at 550s. Possibly. Let's see if we hold. Seems like a psychological level. You never know, though, where it's going to hold. Yep, there's 550. Rebounding exactly off of it. Yeah, I'm waiting for the opening bell today. We got 20 minutes. I don't really necessarily trust some of this price action here today, guys. Y'all just be careful. I don't really necessarily trust the price action. Again, check out Top Step. You want to help support the channel. No PDT and futures. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell. Very similar to day trading stocks. Get you around the PDT rule. You get started for $50, $100, $150 a month, depending on which one you choose. Great way to learn in a structured environment. And if you pass it, 50K funded account, 90% split. Prior to the split kicking in, you get to keep your first 10K. Similar to funding your own account. If you fail it, you lose $50. Great way to learn. Most day traders lose, including here, but it's generally a lot cheaper to lose here and learn in the structured environment versus funding thousands into your own account and probably losing it. So again, if you want to check it out, pinned at the top of the chat. They pay me money. I'm biased. I get paid by them, but genuinely useful in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, Nvidia's breaking down. It's just like what we're kind of seeing is Nvidia filling the gap from pre-market. So Nvidia went up big in pre-market, went all the way up to 183s, and this is a stock that has been down at like 70s. This was at 170s earlier this week. And so what we're seeing is this gap fill all the way back down to this level right now, is what we just saw, right? Like that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the gap fill. This is not an uncommon occurrence in stocks and finance. Gaps fill a lot of the time. Yeah, over expectation could certainly, you know, think it. All right, guys, we don't have that much longer until the opening bell. We'll see if we get some better movement. Big rebound at 550 even. All right, so now we're dipping down still. It just depends on whether Nvidia starts retesting some of these lows. I'm more tempted to buy this, and maybe I will. Let's take a couple contracts here. I think up to maybe 3 or 4. If we pop back up, kind of small right now. To get out a piece of it up there if we can, but might not get it. All right, we're green here. Let's see if we hold the green. I mean, I want to see it bounce back up. I'm not really going to cut it yet. I want to give it a chance to bounce. We have about 15 minutes until the opening bell. We'll see how that goes. But I do want to give it a chance to bounce back up. There we go. Not really getting filled up there with our orders. We're kind of getting bumped down every time we get up there. I just took half off up there. Lowered our risk here. I still think we might bounce, but oh. One of the things, look at Apple come back down here ahead of the opening bell. If this drags everything, all the tech stocks down, we could see a pull. We're kind of flat right now in this position. I'm gonna just cut it here, to be honest. We're basically flat on this. We just rejected this 567 level too clean, and the problem is that Apple's still falling down here, and so is Nvidia. So it looks like we got out just in time to avoid this big drop here. Look at that drop. Correct. What do you guys think we do at the open? Nah, look at gold. Gold's still heading up a little bit. We're still green on the day. Hey, thanks, Sam. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Yeah, we're gonna stream the earnings later. We got some time until then. We don't really have any economic reports today. We're just kind of waiting for the earnings. Nvidia earnings release. Yeah, I mean, it's a big report for sure. NASDAQ still testing the lows. It's a big report for sure. It's gonna move markets, and so we try to cover anything that's gonna move markets. We will be live for Nvidia earnings at the closing bell. Really, all of Power Hour. We're gonna be live today. Apple's still creeping up, but we're not really getting any easy direction right now. We're definitely trending down, I would say, but the trend's not easy. We're not really getting any easy price action this morning so far, which makes sense. I mean, ahead of big economic releases, catalysts, stock market earnings, sometimes the market chops sideways, and I think that's very probable today. Might have a big range. Maybe we run in one direction. It's certainly possible either we run up or down ahead of the earnings, but a lot of the time we're sideways. A lot of the time we're sideways, and I think that's a reasonable expectation for today as well. All right, guys. Hassett is speaking. They said the honorable thing to do would be to take leave. Hassett speaks about Cook to reporters. Piper Sandler sees 45.1 billion in revenue this quarter for Nvidia, up from 6 billion from China in Q3. Morgan Stanley forecasts durable demand in 26, raising estimates to 273 billion revenue and 6.51 EPS for Nvidia. The problem when we got such high expectations is that we might not beat them, and then we might get negative reactions, even if the earnings report's typically good. I've seen a couple people say the same thing, and I think that's a risk right now with all the stuff going on. Still testing these lows here. Consolidating. We've been sideways 5 minutes now again. 9 minutes left. Yeah, we got HP. We had Abercrombie report earnings. Abercrombie and Fitch down. We had Kohl's drop earnings. They're up pretty big. They're up to almost $16 a share from about $13 yesterday. Couple other earnings reports too, but nothing major, I would say, and outside of Nvidia. We got we have Snow earnings, right? Yeah, we got Snowflake, CrowdStrike, HP. We got some like Snowflake, CrowdStrike, HP. They're all relatively large companies. Snowflake, software company. Nvidia, Snowflake might move markets in terms of its reaction. Nvidia's going to move it more probably, though. All right, so here's a retest of the lows here, guys. We're at 550s. All right, I got to switch it to live chat again. For some reason, I forget. Yeah, I think 550 makes sense. What exactly do your blue levels represent? They're just self-drawn support and resistance. MongoDB small amount. We broke lows for a second and then got a big rip back up for both of these. Very close to the open though. Nvidia plus 390 million. 7 to 14 days till expiry options window. At 180 to 190 strikes is the biggest cluster. All right, guys. Apple falling down a little bit, though. Look at Apple. So Apple rejecting at this big group of levels here. I don't know what crypto is going to do for the next week. I think it's too undecided. It depends on how dovish the Fed steps in September. It depends on what the PCE data looks like on Friday as well. All right, Nvidia retraced all the way back to this 182, 183 VWAP 200 exponential level. CoreWeave upgraded. Yeah, CoreWeave's gotten beaten down too. It's still at 93s, but it's down a lot. Look at that retracement all the way back down here for Nvidia, though. Nvidia went right up to this level and then back down. We got less than 5. We got about 4 minutes left until the opening bell, guys. Hey, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it. Typically, when does the September slowdown start? I would say probably it starts in September. We got 3.5 minutes left. 3.5 minutes left. We got 550. Holding pretty firm here for the NASDAQ. No, I'm halfway joking. Yeah, after Labor Day. Yeah, he kind of walked into that one. I had to do it. What else am I gonna say there? Talk just received a buy rating yesterday. Price target of 550. I don't know anything about this. Looks like a small time penny stock. I'm not interested in it. All right, we're consolidating sideways here. We don't really know which way to go. I'm going to wait until the opening bell and 2.5 minutes left before I trade. I'm just not going to take any big positions now. And we will wait. Yeah, I mean, we don't always downtrend. I think we have a negative 1% average, 0.9% average in September, which means sometimes September's green, sometimes it's red, sometimes it's really red, sometimes it's green. You know, you don't really know what we're going to do in September. It's only sometimes. And so, I don't know. I guess I'm bullish just because of how much we've broken down, but we're too close to the opening bell and the momentum on the downside is too heavy right now, I think. Yeah, and look, right before the bell, we cracked the lows. And Apple tuning down as well. All right, a minute and a half. 1.5 minutes until the market opens. Hey, thank you, Jamie. Appreciate the support, bro. All right, NASDAQ, S&P falling down, Apple falling down, Nvidia tapping lows just now here ahead of the opening bell in 50 seconds. Look at the red showing up. This is why I'm not trading right now. Too much momentum on the downside. Too extended on the downside for me to really like a short as well, though. Looking at 525s maybe, but you know, we got the previous closing price right here on Nvidia, so it's a little ways down. We might have some more room, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think we'll still be dovish next month, but you never know. We could have high inflation data and weak labor, or and strong labor data. I mean, and then rip. All right, guys. Here's the bell. Here's the bell right now. All right, getting bought up a little bit at the open, but it might not hold. Let's see what Nvidia does. Nvidia now technically red on the day ahead of earnings. Now technically red. Now it's back green, but it's chopping back and forth. It's almost completely flat. Apple bouncing up a little bit. Gold coming down some at the bell. We got mostly chop. Microsoft pushing up a little bit. Look at that retracement all the way back down. Nvidia red on the day. Retrace that move up already. This is why I don't trade the open. Y'all be careful, but NASDAQ falling here. We're at 537s, 535s, 533s. All right, we're at 525s here. Too close to the bell for me to trade it, but look at 525s. And look at the bounce, bro. My levels, dude. Just saying. It's too early for me to trade, though. I can't attack it. It's way too early for that. It's a little bit too much for me right now. It's just too much. All right, we're testing 550. Gold coming back down, which might signal some optimism, but it's so hard to figure out what we're gonna do. I think especially today, I need to wait 5 minutes before I day trade. It looks like we're gonna retrace this back down. It's too early though. Yep. All right, we're 3.5 minutes in. I got to follow my rules and wait. Imbalance was mostly positive. All right, getting a push. They're gonna pop back down. Oh, we got chopped mostly at the bell today. We follow this opening range, or will we come back down here? I don't know. Fill the gap to the upside now, or what's happening? We're down here at the lows. See what happens here. Still slightly flat on the day here, guys. Look at that drop. Very tight opening range. We gotta wait for this to break, I think. So far, we're very sideways. Nvidia looks like it's gonna break down, but you never know. There we go, starting to flush. We're just not really following through in any direction right now. Very muted open. Is this the moment we break? How do we trade this, man? Apple's still pushing up. Maybe optimism. Apple technically green on the day for a while. But my levels are based on support and resistance, confirmation, and other stuff. Meta's falling down, Nvidia's falling down, Apple's pushing up, Microsoft is falling down. Yeah, there's a video right there. I don't really know what to do here. I mean, this open is incredibly sideways. Apple's pushing up though. Maybe we'll get some bull strength, but Nvidia is really close to lows. So was Microsoft. Apple's making a push though. Look at Apple. But Nvidia falling down, and because of that kind of convergence, or because of that inversion and direction for large caps, we kind of have a hot dog looking thing. Seeing some red show up though. Apple pulling back, Nvidia testing lows again in 180. But it might not mean anything. We might just keep chopping down. Intel's moving up a little bit today. The direction is so muted right now. Bitcoin actually green on the day as we speak here. I guess I'm long biased, but again, I really don't know. This direction, like I think Apple, there's a chance Apple bounces right here and heads back up, and then there's a chance Nvidia's extended on the downside and heads back up, and the same thing with Microsoft and Meta. Again, there's a chance. It's not really predictable. There's variance, and so I really don't know what we're gonna get. We could just break down. You know, that's the trend right now, especially. And yeah, but again, I really don't know which way we're going here. We're so sideways. Untradable. Yeah. Alright, and yeah, maybe we're just gonna go the opposite way. Like we are. Microsoft flushed. Nvidia flushed. We got a little bit of momentum, at least in one direction. I'd rather some momentum than nothing. Hope you guys are green today. I think it's hard to be green today, but hopefully you guys are. There's the low break. Let's see if it actually brings us anywhere, or if it just kind of eats. everything. The low break. 504's down here. What happens? 504 test. $500s, 23 fives. What that level does. Getting some momentum. One direction. Definitely reddish momentum though. That retracement all the way back up. I think there's a lot of apprehension right now in markets. Dump down. Because I think Nvidia, in order for it to react positively, it needs to exceed expectations. And we'll see if it does. I don't know if it's going to. It's possible, but we'll see. Insiders dumping because Nvidia misleaked. No, it's not leaked. Listen, you'll get a lot of bots trying to influence traders around earnings that pretend like the earnings are released. Every major economic report, somebody says something's leaked. It never is. You might be able to watch what big money does ahead of it, but you're not going to get the leaked report. It's just not, it's not a reasonable expectation. Every single major economic report, bots and other people try to influence traders into taking different sides, and they claim things are leaked. I don't think the people, like, I've covered a lot of economic reports, a lot of earnings. The people who say the numbers were leaked have never got it right, ever. Right? At this point, it would be statistically more probable for them to actually accidentally get it right. And they still haven't gotten it right. So the accuracy for the leaked people, the people claiming it's leaked, is like very, very, very low. Very, very, very low. I'm not saying that's the case this time. Maybe tonight is the night, but I don't think so. Anytime I hear it's leaked, I usually just immediately tune out to it. Uh, Hey, thank you, Abed. Appreciate it, brother. Thank you, sir. Again, we're sideways right now, even though we're downtrending here. Nvidia's weak on the open, but we've dropped a lot, and I think it's just possible we get a big range with sideways price action today. India July econ reports immediate impact of tariffs on Indian exports appear limited, but their secondary effects on economy pose challenges. U.S.-India ongoing trade negotiations will be crucial. All right, here's a low test again, 490s. And I would normally attack this downward trend if we get a rebound back up, but today's a little different, I think. We'll have to kind of sit on our hands a little bit more today. Palantir. Intel's up on the day. Apple was green, but didn't hold. Palantir's down still. It's at 158s. Microsoft cracking lows at 5s. And again, check out Top Step. You want to help support the channel. There's no PDT rule. Get you around the PDT rule. You can get started for $50. You pass the test, 50K funded account, 90% split. You get to keep your first 10K. You fail, you lose $50. Best of both worlds. Limited risk, similar reward, and if you're good enough, you can take a payout and fund your own account if you want. It's just the best way to learn in a structured environment. No PDT rule. You can day trade the S&P, NASDAQ, Dow, Russell, gold, commodities. A lot of markets that you can learn, find an edge in. It just makes sense, I think. But again, I'm biased. I get paid by them. Understand all the stuff on screen. I can't guarantee anything. Not an investment professional. I'm not liable if you lose. Don't copy me. But genuinely useful, in my opinion. NASDAQ still chopping sideways. Yeah, I got it, Pawn. Stellantis announced a $41 million investment to establish advanced Mopar production facility in Georgia. It's futures. Futures has no PDT rule. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here a little bit early today because we have Nvidia earnings later, right? So don't go anywhere. As soon as I close the stream, it's going to immediately transition you to the Nvidia earnings stream that we already have scheduled. So don't go anywhere. As soon as we close the stream, it's going to immediately bring you there. We got Nvidia earnings. We're going to start streaming in Power Hour, stream all the way through the Nvidia earnings release and call. Nvidia earnings call is going to be what time? At 5 o'clock. At 5 o'clock market time. So again, be ready. I'll see you guys over there. Again, don't go anywhere. I'll see you guys over there. Y'all be good. Be careful today. Market might be choppy, whippy. Just be careful. Again, as soon as we close the stream, it should immediately bring you to our new stream that we have for Nvidia earnings already scheduled for Q2 earnings. And so, yeah, I'll see you guys over there. Y'all be good. Link is above you.